Chapter 3. Oscar stared out the window in shock as the train pulled into the city. Chicago was called the Queen of the West, but what an ugly queen. All along the tracks were factories and warehouses. The sky was much dirty brown from coal fires and dark clouds bubbling out of the smokestacks. Soon enough, they were off the train and standing in the enormous station hall. Every other person smiled and waved at Mr. Morrow. "Charlie!" a man boomed. Welcome back, Mr. Morrow," said a porter hugging a heavy suitcase. "Mr. Morrow, I love your latest pictures," a pretty woman gushed. "Good to be back," Mr. Morrow beamed. People swarmed around the situation, more people than Oscar had seen in all of his life. Everyone was rushing around as if they were late for church. And suddenly, Oscar noticed the rotten stench that filled the air. He had never smelled anything as disgusting. It was like someone had tossed hundreds of skunks into a hothouse and left them there for a month. Oscar could see from Mama's crinkled up nose that she noticed too. "The slaughterhouses," Mr. Morrow said, reading those sickening expressions. "They butcher more hogs in Chicago than anywhere in the world." Mr. Morrow went to the baggage room and returned with the 3 suitcases. Oscar's was the smallest. Inside was all that was left from his life on the farm. His few clothes and his prized possession, Papa's sheriff's badge, a 5-pointed silver star. "Is there somewhere I can freshen up?" Mama asked, smoothing out one of the golden curls that had popped out of her bun. "I'll show you," Mr. Morrow said, taking Mama's arm. "Oscar, you can keep an eye on the bags." "Oscar, can you keep an eye on the bags?" Oscar nodded, but as they disappeared into the crowd, Oscar's heart thumped. He felt so out of place here, and strangely all alone. A bunch of rough-looking boys looked around. One of them stared at Oscar. He had bright red hair and strange yellow-tinked eyes that reminded Oscar of rattlesnakes. Oscar was relieved when they drifted away. He took a deep breath and looked around, thinking about Papa's one visit to Chicago. Papa was just 20 years old at the time. His parents had both died, and Papa had decided to leave his hometown near Boston and head west. "I was looking for my fortune," Papa always said. He landed in a no-name town in Dakota Territory. The town was desperate for a sheriff, and Papa needed a job. For months, the place was quiet, until the night of a gang of outlaws rode in. The leader was Earless Max Kizlar. Actually, Earless did have one ear, Papa had explained to Oscar. He lost the left one blowing up a safe during a bank robbery. Papa heard that Earless Kizlar was the killer, and sure enough, by morning, the town's bank had been robbed, and one of Papa's friends was sprawled out dead in the streets. Earless and his gang were long gone. Papa went after the gangster, chased him all the way to Chicago. He finally found him in a stinking cabin near the river. Papa pulled out his gun, ready to arrest him, but Earless was too quick. He jumped behind the bar and started shooting. Pow! A bullet whizzed just past Papa's head. Pow! Papa fired back, but missed. Earless lunged forward with a final shot. Pow! The bullet hit Papa in the chest. It should have torn a hole right through Papa's heart, but it ricocheted off his badge instead, leaving a big dent smack dab in the center. Earless escaped in the commotion. After that, Papa decided he was done chasing outlaws. He heard about free farmland up for grabs in Minnesota. He never farmed, but he figured he'd give it a try. He ended up in a little town called Castle. Well, the first person he met was a freckle-faced schoolteacher with a prettiest blue eyes Papa had ever seen. Mama. Within the month, they were married. By the next year, they had their farm. And Oscar. So, I found my fortune, Papa liked to say, kissing Mama on the cheek. As for Elias, he was still on the loose. Papa heard he was in Chicago, lying low, but still up to no good. Oscar's thoughts of Papa were cut short by a whispering voice. Can you help me? He looked down at a skinny little girl with a yellow cap over two raggedy braids. She stared up at him with big brown eyes. I've lost my parents. She looked so helpless. We'll find them, Oscar said, standing a little taller. I think they went this way, she said, leading him by the arm out of the main waiting room. But then, suddenly, she let go of his sleeve. Sorry, she said, and then poof, she disappeared into the crowd. An uneasy feeling grabbed hold of Oscar. Something wasn't right. He spun around and rushed back to the suitcases. They were gone. Chapter 4. 30 minutes later, 9 p.m., Illinois Central Train Depot. Those street kids are vicious, the policeman said. He looked down at Oscar. Son, you're lucky you didn't get stabbed. Mama, Mr. Morrow, and Oscar stood with the policeman on the spot where the suitcase had been. The cop, Officer Brinman, was an old buddy of Mr. Morrow's. He explained that Oscar had been tricked. That little girl wasn't really lost. She was a crook, part of a band of thieves. She distracted you so the others could steal the suitcases, Officer Brinman said. Happens here every day. Officer Brennan and 3 other cops had already scorched the station, but there was no sign of the girl or the bags. All those were boys Oscar had seen. Oscar told the policeman about them, too, including the red-haired boy with the strange eyes. Otis Weber, the cop said, his friendly eyes narrowing. He's only 14 years old, but he's got a heart of a killer. We hear he works for an older guy. They take helpless orphans and turn them into ruthless criminals. Oscar shuddered. Will you find our suitcases? Mama said. Doubtful, ma'am, he said, giving them all an apologetic smile before he left. Mr. Morrow put his arm around Oscar's shoulders. I should have warned you, he said. In a big city like this, there are some bad characters. What's done is done, Mama said, shaking the worries from her face. We can all get new clothes. What matters is here that we are together. Mr. Morrow beamed at Mama. Oscar ducked out from under Mr. Morrow's arm. Oscar didn't care about his clothes. All he cared about was Papa's badge, which was gone forever. It was past 10 p.m. when they finally got out of the station and into a cab. A beat-up buggy pulled by a dusty horse. The cab driver flashed a smile filled with black teeth when he saw Mr. Morrow. Charlie, he cried, welcome back. Was there anyone in Chicago who didn't know Mr. Morrow? Hello, Joseph, Mr. Morrow said, patting the man on the shoulder. Take us to the Palmer house, please. Joseph led our shop with her. Fancy! We'll have supper there, Mr. Morrow told Mama and Oscar. Then we'll head home, Oscar. I think you're going to like the house. My father built it. It's a little far away from things north of our new park. The bedroom is my studio. You can look out the windows and see all of Chicago. Oscar managed a nod and bit his tongue. Mr. Morrow's house would never be home. Home was Papa's farm, where the air didn't smell like dead hogs, where the only seeds were the rabbits that stole carrots from the garden. The horse clattered away from the train tracks and warehouses and onto a wide avenue of grand buildings. Oscar tried not to act like he was impressed, but the buildings were taller than any tree he'd ever climbed. Amazing, isn't it? Mr. Marlowe said, smiling proudly. When I was born, this city was just a little town on a marsh. Today, Chicago is one of the most important cities in the world. It's beautiful, Mama said, but suddenly, Mama's expression darkened. Does the sky look odd to you? She asked, her brow wrinkling with worry. Oscar saw too, a pale orange glow in the sky. Must be a fire, Joseph said. Matter of factly, we're having fires practically every night now. Hasn't rained here in months. The city is bone dry. The word fire sent a flash of fear across Mama's face, and George and Oscar too. 3 years ago, a massive forest fire had erupted in the woods north of Castle. It burned thousands of acres of pine and birch trees, and then raced across the prairie towards Castle. Dozens of buildings were burned, including Oscar's barn. The entire town could have been lost, but just as flames were lapping at the edges of Main Street, a big rainstorm blew in and doused the fire. Don't worry, Mr. Marlowe said, giving Mama a reassuring pat. Chicago has one of the best fire departments in the country. We had close to 200 firemen and a fleet of the best new steam pumpers. That fire will be out before we finish supper. The cab lurched to a stop, and Joseph turned around. And here we are, folks, Palmer's House Hotel, finest in the city. They climbed out of the cab, and the man in a top hat swung open the hotel's huge front door. Oscar peered inside at the glittering lobby. Bright lights twinkled and piano music filled the air. Oscar lingered outside. He'd never seen such a fancy place, and he was sure he didn't belong in there. Oscar glanced back at the street, tempted to bolt away to the train station. And that's when he saw her, a little girl, scurrying down the sidewalk. Even in the flickering gaslight, there was no mistaking that dirty little cap, those raggedy braids. There she is! Oscar called out, but Mama and Mr. Moore were already starting across the lobby, and Oscar's shouts were drowned out by the music and the hum of the chattering crowd. The girl moved quickly across the sidewalk, and before he even realized what he was doing, Oscar had dashed onto the street. He had to catch that little thief.